Hello everyone, Phil here, and welcome to DSPReacts, and welcome to a special Tiermaker event. The last time around that I did a Tiermaker, it went really well. People really enjoyed the fact that it was a lot of interaction and fun and talking with the stream chatters and having this discourse about game consoles. Well, it's been a few weeks since the last one that I did, and I said with the impending release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom this coming Friday, that I would do a Tiermaker ranking all of the Zelda games this week. And so tonight is the night. As you can see, this is a pretty darn good Tiermaker that I've got here. What they've done is they've taken all of the mainstream and handheld Zelda games, as well as the multiple different versions. So for example, let's say there was Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, but then later on there was an HD remake of it. Well, this would have both versions listed on here, okay? And the cool thing about that is many of us probably played both versions and could rank them against each other. With a couple of these games, I can do that, all right? The one thing that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do is I didn't play many or any of the handhelds. I think I played one ever handheld Zelda. I didn't even finish it. I wasn't really into handhelds during the 2000s when all those Zelda games were coming out on handheld systems. I was very much kind of focused on competitive Street Fighter at that time, so I missed out on a lot of these, but then I ended up playing the HD versions later on, many years later, when I became a YouTuber. So the cool thing is, I still know a lot of these games, even though I didn't play them when they were new, I could still rank them, alright? Now, up front, before we start, a couple things, alright? First of all, this is on a live stream. We've got an audience of hundreds sitting here, and they are talking already. I literally didn't even start talking about it yet, and people are trying to convince me what games that they like and stuff. So I know this is going to be a contentious stream. So there's going to be a lot of interaction, a lot of fun. If contributions come in, I am going to stop to shout them out. If there's pop-ups, you know, please bear with it. I know it might be a little block on the screen, but it is what it is. And this is going to be fun. Anything I haven't played, I'm definitely not going to rank. I'm saying I haven't played it, I'm going to put it into the bottom category. But at the same time, I'm going to do my honest best to rank all of these games as well as I can. And I know that my opinions are going to differ from yours. If you're watching this on demand, you're not here to interact live, by all means, please leave comments on this video. Share your thoughts on what your favorite Zelda games are. And if you think that these rankings are good or bad, let me know. I'd love to hear maybe what like your top 3 Zelda games of all time are in the comments of the video as you watch. So far, these Tiermaker videos have done very well on DSPReacts. They're actually some of the most watched content I have on this channel. So I hope that you would enjoy this video and share it with others as well if you like it, okay? So with that being said, Sith Alchemist had done a super chat and says, shout out to Alex Mahan. I don't know who Alex Mahan is, but fair enough. Thank you, Sith Alchemist. You're the latest super chatter. Let's get you on the leaderboard, and then let's start taking a look at games. All right. Cool. Why is there a capital L? Stupid keyboard. Okay. All right. Without further ado, let's get the cursor over here. Now, sadly, these aren't listed in chronological order. I was kind of hoping they would be, so we could go right from start to finish. But I guess what we needed to kind of do here is just take it, you know, one by one. Which ones did I play? Which ones didn't I play? And just to forewarn you, likely, no initial rankings I put these into will move. Like, for example, Breath of the Wild, I seriously don't even know where to put this one right now. I think we have to start ranking others first around it, and then maybe having it go up or down in the rankings. Also, as you can see, I have S, A, B, C, and D. That's it. No SS, no E. This ranking originally had, like, F and stuff. Like, dude, that's way too many levels. I narrowed it down to 5 levels, and then if I didn't play it at all. Okay? Alright. The first game here is Breath of the Wild. Now, obviously, this is the last Zelda game that most of us have played, correct? Like, probably anyone out there, it's the latest, newest one that has come out. And we're going to all be playing the sequel likely this Friday with Tears of the Kingdom. So Breath of the Wild, here's what I thought. First of all, I definitely thought it did a few things really well. It modernized Zelda, because Zelda has always been this RPG franchise that kind of went by its own little, like, outdated tropes. I hate to say it, all right? So for example, Zelda never had fast traveling, except if you had the bird, and the bird could fly you around, but it wouldn't usually take you wherever you wanted. It was very limited places where the bird could take you. Zelda didn't necessarily have traversal properties like other games. A lot of the times you'd be stuck in a certain area and you couldn't get to another one. They added that in Breath of the Wild. Now you can climb. There's parkour, flying, right? And you actually fly around and hover down using a, what was it, the glider or parachute? I can't even remember exactly what it was. But that was kind of neat that you could do that. They also did away with the traditional dungeons of classic Zelda. And instead of going with traditional dungeons, they went with big beast dungeons, remember? Like a big 4 beast dungeons. But then there were like mini dungeons that still had some of the puzzles and gameplay from the classic dungeons of Zelda, but they were more optional. You didn't have to do them all. Some people like some of the things, like for example, combat was way more action-oriented in Zelda Breath of the Wild. But then again, some people absolutely hated the fact that all of the weapons can break. They thought that that was insanely annoying, right? So, yeah, I think there's pros and cons for sure. You know, what upset me was that originally I bought the game on my Switch, and I was going to play it on the Switch, and my Switch bricked itself. I played it not even 5 minutes. If you remember, I got a Switch at launch. I had Breath of the Wild. I put it in. I booted it up. Okay, it works, guys, so tomorrow morning we start Breath of the Wild. Tomorrow morning I turn on my Switch, bricked. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I ended up playing Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. It looked pretty good, but admittedly, you know, it seems with Nintendo, they're always a little behind the 8 ball, right? It seems like all these new games always kind of run a little bit worse than the competition's AAA games. So I think Breath of the Wild looked nice and performed well, but I definitely think it could have looked a little better and ran a little better. I mean, but that's Nintendo. They're always on the underpowered console, right? So, man, there's so much to consider here with Breath of the Wild to even give it an initial ranking, right? I'm trying to think all right, let me put it this way. I don't think it would be like lower than A. I'm thinking Breath of the Wild was an outstanding game. All right, it was super fun. It had tons of content, open world exploration. The thing I really liked about Breath of the Wild, you could look out into this open world landscape and say, "Oh, I see something out in the distance. I don't even know what it is, but it's moving." And then later on, you end up there, and you could actually interact with it or whatever it is. It could be a big boss up on a mountain. It could be a flying dragon that you actually fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's all that kind of stuff. I really liked the traversal, the exploration, the fact that there was so much hidden content in the game and so much to do in the game. But it wasn't perfect. It definitely wasn't perfect. So, like, I'd have a hard time giving it an S, certainly. But at the same time, like, I don't think I would give it below an A. So maybe I would just give it an A to start. And then maybe as we continue to rank these games, we'll move it up or down, right? But I kind of feel like Breath of the Wild is an A tier. I think they did a great job. Like I said, what I liked about it was the modernization. Because previously, Zelda had always felt like an outdated franchise. Because of these tropes that it always followed. You know, you have to fully backtrack across the whole map to do this or do that. Like, why do I have to do that? Every other game, you could either fast travel, or you could do this, you know, waypoints. No waypoints in previous Zeldas. Finally, there's like a world map with waypoints you can follow. Things that everyone else was doing for like 10 years and they didn't do yet, right? So there you go. I'm gonna start it off as an A. I'm gonna tell you this. There's an outright reason why it can't be an S rank. Those fucking robots that shoot lasers. Those things are a pain in the ass, and they're really annoying. So there's no way I can give this an S. But I'm gonna if it didn't have those laser robots, god damn it, those annoying pieces of shit, then maybe I would actually rank it like an S. I can't. Those laser robots are too annoying. We can't do it. All right. So we're gonna start it at A, but perhaps we'll change it after the fact. All right. Now I have shout outs to do. Hold on a second here. So, Light of the Twin Lamps did a super chat. Says, I'm the major gamer of the world, or the best gamer of the world. Your skill in shooter multiplayer increases in Rust. You have no shooters in rotation. Oh, he's basically trying to say that is my shooter skill getting rusty because I'm not playing any shooter games right now. I don't usually play shooter games that often. Usually it's like once a year, or maybe twice. I mean, there was a time in the past that I did play shooters more often, but that was a long time ago when there was like Battlefield and you know, then there'd be like Bad Company, and then there'd be Halo, and then there'd be Call of Duty. Now there's just Call of Duty, and that's really it. So, you know, that's why. But I don't know. I'm not playing any shooters right now. I'm probably getting rusty. What can I say? Thank you for the super chat. Slayer re-upped his membership for 2 months at the ultra level. Thank you, Slayer. He says, sadly, I won't be able to relate to the Tiermaker. I never played any Zelda games, so this is my first exposure. There you go. We're going to be talking about a lot of the classics tonight, and my feelings about the classic Zeldas. That's going to be pretty interesting. Haseo is here. Re-upped his membership for 2 months. It says, 2 months already gone and enjoying your reacts. Thank you, Haseo, for 2 months of support. And 672 did a super chat. He says, hi, Derek. So there you go. 672 saying hello to Derek. And thank you for the super chat, 672. Bubble Blood says, the Blood Brothers are excited for this stream. Okay. And then Derek says, I remember you came to your Breath of the Wild streams in 2017, having a lot of fun. That was the first time that I became an interactive streamer. That is correct. Before Breath of the Wild, I was streamed, but I kind of ignored everyone on my streams. I didn't talk with you guys at all. I was like as if you weren't here. Instead, I was just hyper-focused on the gameplay, and that was it. Because you know why? Because I started off as a non-interactive, on-demand YouTuber content creator. And then I converted to being a streamer in 2013, but I never really changed my style. I kept it as if I was just playing for myself offline, and a lot of people were like, that's weird, and I agree. And now I've learned my lesson, and now I'm an interactive streamer, and now look at the kind of streams we're doing now that are so different, right? Thinking outside the box and changing your methodology, and a lot of times can broaden your horizons and make your what you do a lot better. And I really love being interactive. So, yeah, Breath of the Wild, interestingly enough, was the first ever gameplay playthrough that I did where I became interactive. You watch the first few parts, and I'm like not talking to anyone, and then I became a full-time streamer, and next thing you know, I'm having all these conversations and everything when I'm trying to play. It was pretty wild, actually. Okay, so the first one, that's Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild will start at A. We'll see if we want to move it around, but it's a really good outing in Zelda for sure, and it modernized it a lot, and that's why I hold it in such high regard. Plus the sheer amount of content, tons of content in that game, right? Okay, now, the next game, all right, is called... What is it called? What does that say? The what? The Triforce Heroes. What is Triforce Heroes? I don't even know what that is. Triforce Heroes? I've never heard of it. I've heard of Four Swords Adventures. It's a 3DS multiplayer only game. Oh, no wonder I've never heard of it. All right. See, this is a really thorough list. So I'm going to be games on here I never even knew existed. Obviously, that one just goes right to the bottom of I've never played it. I can't rank it. And it's kind of sad because maybe it was good, but, you know, a multiplayer-only Zelda experience is kind of weird. I wonder if it was any good. People are saying it was in the style of Four Swords, actually. Interesting. Remember Four Swords Adventures? You controlled 4 links. Remember that? I only played it for a few minutes. I can't even remember how I played it because I never owned it. But I remember playing with the 4 links. Was there a demo at some point I played? You know what it might have been? I think I played it at GameStop. Or you know, maybe Electronics Boutique, whatever it was. I think they had a demo of it. And I played it there for like a few minutes in a mall once. I think that's how I remember playing it. And I was like, wow, this is weird. Oh, I definitely didn't play it. And Derek says this came out October 2015. No, I never played Triforce Heroes then. Okay. A guy in a suit just did a super chat. He says, I'm about to get drunk watching your Zelda list. Well, enjoy. Make sure that you're doing it in a nice, safe environment and that you're not have to drink or operate heavy machine or drive, excuse me, or operate heavy machinery. And that if you have to pass out, you can jump right on a bed and that you have access to a toilet just in case for various reasons. Okay. Thank you, guy in a suit. All right. So the next one. So this is going to be interesting, folks. This next one. Okay. A Link Between Worlds. All right. Now, here's why this one is interesting. Because I have played this game, all right, but I have never made a single second of gameplay footage of it. I've never played it for YouTube, and I never beat it, okay? So here's the story of Link Between Worlds, all right? Many, 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 many years ago, over a decade ago, when I was first becoming a YouTuber, and it was becoming my job, I wanted to have stuff to do on a plane if I was going to be flying to a convention or an event, and so I had a 3DS, and I got Link Between Worlds, not knowing what the hell it was at all. I had no idea. I just knew that people had told me Link Between Worlds was really good. So I got it, and I remember there was 1 or 2 trips where I played it on the plane for several hours, okay? So Link Between Worlds is essentially the sequel, or maybe I guess you could say the second sequel to A Link to the Past. So Zelda A Link to the Past is the 16-bit Zelda that's on the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. That's the first one I actually ever played. I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time, okay? But I never played Link's Awakening, which was I believe this was the Game Boy version of that game, which was its own story and everything. I never played that one on Game Boy because I didn't have a Game Boy until the end of its life cycle around the late 90s, and I didn't get it. And then Link Between Worlds essentially is a follow-up to that franchise many years later. This came out, what, around 2010 or something like that? 2011, I believe. Does it say on there the year? I can't even see it. What year does it say on there? I can't see the years. The years are too small. Could someone tell me what year Link Between Worlds came out? It should say on the thumbnail there, but it's like tiny, itsy bitsy. 2013? Okay, so it's 10 years ago. So there you go. So around 2013, I was still traveling. I was still going to conventions. Screwtack Gaming Convention, I went to that year. I was still traveling for various events, all right? And I probably wanted to get the game to have something as a handheld during travel. And I remember at least twice on a plane I played this game. And what I remember is that I really liked it because it plays like Link to the Past. It has modernized graphics. It has some remixed tracks from Link to the Past. And has some interesting new gameplay mechanics, okay? However, I will say this. I will say probably on each flight, I probably played like 6-7 hours, okay? I never beat it, but I definitely played like the first portion of the game. What I would say is this. I liked it, but I didn't feel like it was as good as Link to the Past. There was this weird puzzle mechanic where you become a drawing and you actually like walk on walls, okay? And at first it's kind of cool, but then the puzzles for this start to get complicated, and I actually didn't like it. For some reason, that one mechanic actually was angering me and pissing me off. I don't know if it was just difficult or if I found it annoying. Becoming a doodle, basically, and moving on a wall. I just didn't like that. To this day, it's 10 years later, I still remember that. It really annoyed me for some reason, okay? So, I liked the game. I thought it looked good and played well, but I really don't feel like it was as good as Link to the Past. Now, in addition, I mean, it's hard for me to rank it so highly, but I didn't really get too far in it. So obviously my ranking is kind of an incomplete ranking. Maybe if I played through the game in its entirety, I'd be able to rank it more properly. But just from my knowledge of it and from playing of it, I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was kind of inferior. I'm going to give it a B. All right? And you could disagree, and that's okay if you do, but I'm going to give it a B rank, okay? All right. And now people are like ranking incomplete. No, I'm going to rank it. But I'm going to rank it a B. And we could change that later if you guys are upset with me. You think that that's too high or too low. I'm sure if you... Ham Lover says, I strongly disagree. Look at this. We just started. Strongly disagree. Now, Light of the Twin Lamps did another super chat. He's asking me if will I ever visit Latin America in my life? Probably not. He's saying it in Spanish. I probably will not visit Latin America in my life. I don't know if I'll be able to visit anywhere in my life, quite frankly, besides my own backyard. But thank you for the super chat. There we go. Okay. Continuing on here. Alright, so here's the deal. The next one is that's the original, correct? This is the original Skyward Sword, right? Because the HD version of Skyward Sword should be listed separately. And I just want to be sure it is, because I want to be sure I'm ranking this properly. So hold on. Where the hell is it? Four Swords, Ocarina of Time HD, Wind Waker. Why do I not see Skyward Sword HD? What? Is it there? Is it not there? It doesn't have it? That sucks. That really sucks because it has others. Like, for example, it definitely has the original Ocarina of Time, and then it has Ocarina of Time HD, and then it has Twilight Princess, and then it has Twilight Princess HD. But it doesn't have the two Skyward Swords. Because, alright, so here's the thing, alright? Skyward Sword is a fine game, but the two versions are very different. I can tell you this from personal experience here, alright? The original Skyward Sword is an interesting story. It's almost like it's a prequel. It's almost like the origins of Ganondorf and stuff like that, right? And the world is colorful. I like the flying aspect of it on the bird is really, really neat. For sure. There's a lot of things to like about Skyward Sword. There are. However, all right, the original Skyward Sword on the Wii controls poorly. Why? Because the Wii, in all of its wisdom, forced you to use shitty motion controls. And the motion controls are very imprecise. I mean, you know you're destined for problems when Miyamoto himself, the granddaddy of Nintendo creativity, is trying to demo Skyward Sword on stage at E3, and he couldn't control the game. He was trying to roll the bomb and couldn't get the controller to roll the bomb. Alright? Uh-oh. It says disconnected, reconnected. Are we alright? It said we were disconnected and reconnected. Are we alright here? That was weird. It said disconnected, reconnected. I don't know why it disconnected. It didn't give me any explanation as to why. That was odd. It wasn't even my internet. It just said disconnect, reconnect, like on the connection status. So, I think I'm alright. Are we good? Let me refresh just to make sure nothing's going wrong here. Hold up. No, everything looks fine. I don't know what happened. That was weird. Alright, let's continue. I don't know what happened there. Wow, it was over 300 viewers. Thank you. Over 300 viewers. I was not expecting this many viewers tonight, honestly. If you guys are enjoying the ranking, please like the stream. If we hit 100 likes, we'll do a celebratory bubble blow for engagement. I would appreciate that. And, of course, if you're here, if you could support the stream in any way, whether it be a super chat, a membership, a gifted membership, a tip, that would be great. Thank you so much for supporting DSP Reacts. Okay. So, continuing on. Skyward Sword's motion controls were absolutely atrocious on the Wii. Alright, first of all, there was a combat mechanic where you had to waggle the Wiimote either up and down or left and right in order to hit different directions. And there was actually enemies that had shields and stuff that had openings either horizontally or vertically and sometimes angled. And the Wiimote was imprecise, so it didn't always hit how you were waggling it. To roll the bombs, because that was a whole thing where you couldn't just use bombs normally like you could in previous Zelda games. There was actually full-on puzzles where you had to like control and roll the bomb like a bowling ball to try to get it in holes and get it to go somewhere. And that mechanic literally never worked. It never worked at all. And they never fixed it or improved it. It always sucked. And so you'd have to stand there wasting bombs and trying to get it to work. It was a major pain in the ass. At the same time, I did think there was things that were fun. Like, for example, you know that jumping slash you do? When you could get that to work with the wheel, it was, like, really cool to go, like, like this, and see him slashed on it, knock an enemy flying on his ass or whatever. That was neat. And a lot of people complain about the flying in it. I never had a problem. I thought the Wiimote flying was fun. Although, admittedly, there were things like, remember, we had to chase guys in the air and stuff with it, and that was a little annoying. But I did enjoy the flying aspect of it. But it's funny because then years later they came out with Skyward Sword HD, and oh my god, when I started playing that, it felt like a different game. It felt like a much improved game because you didn't have to use those shitty motion controls. That whole motion control generation gimmick was so bad, and it was pathetic that every game company had to follow suit and try to copy Nintendo's Wii when the Wii was annoying using them. It's so dumb. But anyway, so there's only one version of Skyward Sword on here. I just want to confirm. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm not missing it. All right. Yeah, see, this is the original. Skyward Sword 2011. Huh. That's so weird they don't have the other one. Well, here's the deal. If we're only going on the original, all right? If we're only going on the original, then it's not going to be as high. Like, I think that Skyward Sword HD is much better. And I'd probably even rank Skyward Sword HD like an A or a B. But if we're going off of the Wii version, I'm serious. I'm gonna give this sucker a C. Like, I really feel because those Wii controls suck so hard that it's like a C. It's a frustrating game. It's legit a frustrating game to get through because the controls are so annoying. Okay. Yes, Derek. He says that the remake was 2021 while the original was 2011. So I guess the remake's not on here. Yeah. So I'm giving Skyward Sword a C. You guys might completely disagree, and that's okay if you do. But that's what I'm going for now. Maybe we'll rebalance. But I can't give it higher than a C when the controls are so bad. You know? Okay. Continuing on. The next one is SpiritTracks. Now, as I've told you guys, in the 2000s, Zelda came out with a significant amount of handheld Zeldas or GameCube weird spin-off Zeldas, right? I didn't play any of these. So, I've heard good things about SpiritTracks, and there was multiple times I almost bought it, but I never did. Okay? So because I never played SpiritTracks, obviously that would be pretty bad of me to try to rank it. Alright? So I'm just gonna say, sadly, SpiritTracks has to go down to never played. Can't rank something that I've never really played. Okay? What is going on? Is there something I'm not seeing in the chat? Hold on a second here, guys. You gotta tell me what's going on. There's a troll. What is going on? Is there a troll? You guys gotta tell me what it is so I can take care of it, because I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Oh, is it this guy? Okay. I got him. Yeah, SpiritTracks came out in 2009. It was a handheld DS game, says there. Yeah, so that one I definitely never played. Okay, what do we got next? Phantom Hourglass. That's another one, right? It's another game. Now, Phantom Hourglass, hold on a second. Wasn't that in the same universe as Wind Waker and the same universe as SpiritTracks? That was another handheld one, correct? Because that one I also did not play, right? Right. All of these handheld ones are the ones that I completely missed out on, all right? So I think this is another one that Phantom Hourglass, right? It's in line with SpiritTracks. I think even it was the same franchise and everything, right? So I didn't play that one. Phantom Hourglass was a direct sequel to the 2002 GameCube title The Wind Waker. Was it? Oh, I never knew that. Okay, yeah, I didn't play it, sadly. So, sucks. I wish, again, there's going to be a lot of these I didn't play. I can only rank the ones that I've played. JP has done a super chat. He said, I've been watching you since I was a kid. I'm now 23 years old. First vid was Epic Mickey's Review. Thanks for being a part of my childhood. Wow. Yeah, I remember Epic Shitty. Oh, I remember it. I mean, I don't remember it fondly, but I definitely remember it. That was a bad one. That one was like torture getting through. It was so bad on the Wii, man. And the controls, the graphics, everything was bad. Thank you for watching for over 10 years. I really appreciate that, and thanks for the super chat tonight. And the kind words as well. Okay, now here's the thing. Does this have both versions of Twilight Princess? Let me look. Because I played Twilight Princess HD on the Switch, or was it on the Wii U? I think it was the Wii U. Yes, it was the Wii U, because guess what? That's where I got my one and only ever amiibo. It came packaged in with the Midna and Wolf Link amiibo. Alright? And really good game in my opinion. But if I'm going to rank it, I have to rank the HD version on the Wii U. I never played the original, and it wouldn't be fair for me to rank the original as if I'm ranking, the HD version. So, let's see here. That's original Twilight Princess. Oh, here it is. So this is the original, and this is HD, correct? So the original I'm going to say I never played, but what we should do is we should actually rank Twilight Princess HD, I think. Okay? So, I'm trying to remember. Twilight Princess, this is the one that has... Is it like the weird darkness and light mechanic? And when you're in the darkness, you're like a creature. And when you're in the light, then you're actually like human Link. Is that correct? And that's why you've got Wolf Link is when you're transformed by the dark powers, you're running around as Wolf Link and you're solving puzzles, you're doing platforming and traversing. But then when you get to the light, that's when you can be normal Link and you can do your combat and you can do other things as normal Link, correct? I'm trying to remember. I remember certain things about it. I remember liking it. I think the graphics were good. Of course, I played the Wii U version. I don't know what the original version, it was GameCube, right? So I don't know if the original version was any better or worse. But I definitely thought the plot was unique and interesting. Because Midna being, this character that's kind of enigmatic and you don't realize who she is until the end of the game. And having another character interjected in there besides just Zelda was kind of neat. You know what I mean? Like, usually it's just you, Zelda, Ganon, and anyone else who kind of get wedged between. But in this one, you actually had an interesting, different character, right? I liked the controls. I remember it was on the Wii U. And you were able to play with the modern controls, and the modern controls were good. I remember that. But, because I'm thinking, yeah, Derek just confirmed I played it with the Pro Controller. I'm trying to remember, like, when I'm thinking about my favorite Zelda games, what I try to do is I try to think of, like, what's the standout moments, right? And I'll be honest with you. I remember changing into Wolf Link and back, and I remember the final boss. Wasn't it, like, in, like, a giant room? It was, like, a palace room. You fight Ganon, and he transforms into monster form, but then he transforms back to human form. He has multiple forms, final boss fight. Like, I think I remember that. If I'm remembering correctly and that's the game, I think I remember that. But outside of that, I can't remember that much about it. And I'm wondering why, because I definitely remember Skyward Sword. I remember Ocarina of Time. I remember Majora's Mask. I remember the classic Zeldas. I remember Wind Waker, like, it stands out huge. For some odd reason, in my head, Twilight Princess isn't standing out as well. I remember when I played it, I thought I told you guys I really liked it, but now, how can I not remember it, right? 2016, I mean, yeah, that was a tumultuous time for me, to say the least. It was one of my worst years ever. So, maybe that's what it was. Maybe just because there was so much going on in my personal life that I can't really remember all the specific details, right? Mega Man NT says, maybe it's because Twilight Princess is pretty much just Ocarina of Time 2.0, but with Wolf Link. I mean, I will say that. Like, a lot of people say that Twilight Princess is really good, but then others are like, nah, it's definitely Ocarina's better, right? Like, there's this contention between Zelda fans, I feel. Voss says, when you played Twilight Princess HD, you ranked it as your number 2 Zelda game behind Link to the Past. Terrible memory, laughing out loud. Yeah, but keep in mind, I hadn't played Breath of the Wild. I hadn't played Skyward Sword HD, right? Like, what Zelda games have I played since then? Back then, I mean, really, I had played Link to the Past, Skyward Sword, and I think that was a third one. At that point, I don't even think I had played Ocarina yet, had I? I don't think I had played Ocarina yet. And I definitely think Ocarina's better. So, yeah, I think that's what I mean. Like, you're taking me in context of something that I said 7 years ago, but that was before I had played so many other Zelda games that I would probably rank higher, right? It is the darkest of the Zelda games, right? Yeah, it's like a very dark overtones to it and everything, right? Yes, Beaver Bother, good evening. And by the way, I'm going to shout out Matthew. Matthew has done a super chat. He's evening. Another tier should be Resident Evil. Excited for Tears of the Kingdom. Of course I'm excited for Tears of the Kingdom. And yeah, we could definitely do like Resident Evil rankings one day, for sure. What I would need to do is play them all again. Like, I haven't played Resident Evil 0 or Code Veronica in a long time. I like to replay 5 and 6 again then, before I would do that ranking. But, yeah, no, I think that would be a good one. And then I could rank the originals versus the HD remakes, too, right? That would really be a neat tier maker, I think. That's a good idea. Maybe we could do that in, like, October for Halloween or something, right? So, anyway, I'm going to say, based off of my recollection, all right, of... Where the hell is it now? I lost it. Oh, Twilight Princess HD. All right. Man, I mean... It's either going to be an A or a B. It's literally either going to be an A or a B. And it's hard for me to say, should it be A or B? I think we need more games in the ranking to make the judgment. Seriously, I think we do. So I think I might start it in B. But as we start ranking these games against each other, I might upgrade it to A. But, like, right now, I could directly tell you, between Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess HD, I think Breath of the Wild I like better. You see? So I think I'm gonna put it in B for now. Okay? So, I guess we'll continue on. Wow. Guys, we're 34 minutes in already? Holy shit. We're 34 minutes into the stream. It definitely doesn't feel like we're 34 minutes into the stream. Thank you guys for chilling. And thank you to anyone who has supported so far. We're at 69 likes with over 270 viewers. If we hit 100 likes tonight, that would be outstanding. And yes, I would do a nice bubble below for you guys if we do that. Thank you to those who have super chatted. I appreciate that. No members or anything like that tonight. And tips, obviously, $5. But the night is young. Any support is greatly appreciated. If you could support DSPReacts tonight and the Tiermaker efforts, I would really appreciate that. Okay. Let's continue on then. Okay. All right. It's Minish Cap, correct? Once again, this was another one of the handhelds that I never played, right? So I've never played Minish Cap. I obviously can't rate it. It would not be fair to me to try to do that. So I'm just going to say I abstain from Minish Cap, okay? Is it Minish or Minish? I don't know how to say it. Does anyone know? I never played it. I have no idea how you pronounce it. Is it Minish? It's Minish, not Minish. Minish as in diminished. Okay, so Minish Cap. Got it. Thank you. I did not know that. Okay. Continuing on. Four Swords Adventures. As I've stated, I never played it. I think I played the demo at like a GameStop. It certainly would not be fair for me to be ranking Four Swords Adventures when I never played the original. Now, Wind Waker. Alright? I played the HD version. Do they call out Wind Waker HD? Yes, they do. Original Wind Waker is here, and Wind Waker HD is here. So I'm going to put original Wind Waker down here because I didn't play that one. Okay. But I played Wind Waker HD. And so we will actually now rate Wind Waker HD. So first of all, Wind Waker HD was another one that was on the Wii U. If you remember, they were trying to take all the older Zelda games and like re-release them for a modern audience on the Wii U, which was hilarious because no one bought the Wii U. So it was a pretty stupid effort. But at the same time, I owned a Wii U. I was a YouTuber at the time. I enjoyed playing these games for the very first time. And basically what I know is that, number one, the graphical performance was dramatically improved. All right? That's what I heard from the HD version. And just so you guys know, all right, I loved Wind Waker. Like, yes, there were some shortcomings, but you know what I really liked is like looking out at the ocean and you could see something in the distance, a storm or an island with a big thing on it that looked ominous or interesting. I liked how the different islands had different puzzles and things you had to solve on them. I liked that sometimes you could even see like a boss in the distance. I liked the level structure, the level design. I thought the plot was good, how, you know, Zelda basically wasn't just a damsel in distress, but actually was a pirate that was part of the plot. I thought that was really nice. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Wind Waker. I really enjoyed Wind Waker. In fact, you know, comparing the games directly, I fondly remember Wind Waker. I really do. Like, I think that I would love to play it again at some point. Of course, there's no real access to it because you can't play it on the Switch and everyone's Wii U's bricked. I don't even know if I have all the components to make my Wii U even work at this point, nor do I have any desire to really plug it in again. So I would hope that eventually they will re-release Wind Waker for like the Switch or another easy way to play it, right? I hope one day. But I loved it. So I'll tell you where I got right now. You know, I would say, again, I'll probably put it A or B. And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards A. I'm feeling more like I think I liked it more than Link Between Worlds. And honestly, I think I liked it better than Twilight Princess HD. And now people are going to be mad at me. And they're going to be very upset with me. And they're going to want to beat me up for saying that. Tora Kill just did a super chat, says Wind Waker, best 3D Zelda game. There you go. The best 3D Zelda game. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not crazy. But I think it's a really good game. I really enjoy Wind Waker, so I'm putting it in A. And if you guys disagree, well, that's fine. Let's talk about it. Maybe, like I said, maybe we'll re-rank these after the fact later. Yeah, but I'm sticking with that. I'm going to stick with that and say Wind Waker HD, A rank. Okay? Okay, continuing on. We've got Four Swords. Now, I didn't play Four Swords Adventures, nor did I play regular Four Swords either. So, that's another one I really can't rank. Was Four Swords... Was Four Swords on the GameCube and Four Swords Adventures on a handheld? Is that what it was? Because I played a Four Swords game at GameStop. Four Swords was with the Link to the Past cartridge? What? Four Swords was multiplayer on the GameCube. Four Swords Adventures was on the... Four Swords was an add-on for the Game Boy Advance port of Link to the Past? Oh. I definitely didn't play it. Okay. It was bundled with the Game Boy Advance game. You know what's funny? I think I had Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, but I don't remember having Four Swords. Maybe, wait a minute, maybe that's where I played Four Swords. Maybe I had it and I played it like once ever and I never bothered playing it again. Maybe that's that might be it. I think we might have figured it out. Because if that's the case, I'm pretty sure I own Link to the Past on the Game Boy Advance at some point. All right. Well, yeah, I don't think I played it or I don't remember it. So we're just gonna leave it there. Both same thing here. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Again, I believe that these are handhelds, right? Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Am I right? I never played those either. I know you guys are gonna be like, oh my god, he played like no games. So the thing is, I did play a lot of these, but we haven't gotten to like the main ones. These seem to be like all the spin-off ones, right? Yeah, there's people being told Game Boy Color games. See that? So again, you know, these are the older ones. Same thing like Majora's Mask. I didn't play the N64 version. I played Majora's Mask HD. Or, excuse me, I played Majora's Mask 3D. That's correct. I played Majora's Mask 3D on the 3DS, and I captured it from my 3DS and did a playthrough that way. In fact, here's what I should do. Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, so we should take original... Oh, you know what? No. I played original Ocarina of Time. What am I doing? Stupid Phil. Slap my head. Stupid Phil. I played the original. I gotta rank that one. Okay. Should we do that next? Do you want to do original Ocarina of Time? Do you want to rank it? Really? Mega Man NT says, Majora's Mask is a case where the original one is objectively superior in every way because the 3D version fucked it up. See, I don't know that because I never played the original one. Jay says, my Link to the Past playthrough is the first Zelda game he ever watched me play. That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Alright, so here's the deal. Ocarina of Time. Alright? You guys, I'm going to tell you a story. Alright? I need you guys to sit back and relax and just listen to my story for a bit. Because I want to be upfront and honest with all of you. Alright? I do. Okay? Because I'm going to rank this a certain way. And I want you to understand why I'm ranking it that way. Okay? But I want you to understand where I'm coming from. So I have to tell you a story. Okay? So, let me tell you the story. So, back in the day, my cousin and or other family members, my other cousins, so I had a cousin on one side of the family, and I had 3 other cousins on the other side of the family. They always had more than I had. Okay? Just being honest. They had all the game systems before I did. They had games, toys before I did. I would, a lot of the times, go over their houses for, like, a holiday. And I would see them playing. So the first time I ever saw the Sega Genesis, the first time I ever saw Super Mario Bros. 3, the first time I ever saw any RPGs at all was watching my cousins play. Alright? So, in the case of Zelda, I never saw the original Zeldas. I went and saw my cousin playing Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. And so I knew what they were, but I never owned the original Zeldas on NES. I played them many years later, the handheld version. Well, actually, original Zelda, I played the handheld version on Game Boy Advance. And then just recently, last year, I played Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link on the Switch. Alright? The first Zelda that I ever actually owned and played was The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. Okay, which also was on Super Famicom. To me, that is like the originator. That is like the quintessential big epitome of the mountain of Zelda, of what Zelda should be. It's got amazing music and graphics for the time. All right. It's got so much going for it. Let's put it this way. Okay? What is going on now? Guys, can you please not derail the chat? I don't know what you guys are doing. People are derailing the chat. I don't know what they're talking about. Hold on. Let me see what they're talking about. Give me a second. Because I'm trying to tell a story. I'm being distracted. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm looking here. I don't even see what people are talking about. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Anyway, so Link to the Past, the first Zelda game I ever played myself. I saw my cousin play the other Zeldas, but Link to the Past is the first one I basically ever touched. Okay, and I thought it was so good because at the time, like I said, amazing. They were cartoony graphics, but there was like tons of frames of animation. The top-down look was really awesome. The world was open world. You could see all these things you could do later on and go back to them and do them later when you had better abilities and things. It was intriguing. Gee, can I do this puzzle now? Can I do it later? The music, oh my god, the soundtrack of Link to the Past. Super outstanding, right? So to me, Link to the Past is like the first original experience I ever had with Zelda. It blew me away. And ever since I beat Link to the Past, during that Super Nintendo era, I was really hoping there was going to be a sequel. For example, to give you some perspective, there was Super Mario World, but then there was Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, okay? There was Final Fantasy 2 and 3. Now, of course, it was 4 and 6, but we called them 2 and 3 in the United States. So that had a sequel. Street Fighter had Street Fighter 2, and then it had the sequel, Hyper Fighting, right? So basically a lot of games during the Super Nintendo era actually got sequels. And I was so hoping that during the course of the SNES's run, there would be a direct sequel to Link to the Past, a second Zelda game that I could play and enjoy. And I waited and waited and waited, and sadly, I hate to say it, there was no sequel on the SNES, and I was very disappointed at that. I always wanted another Zelda game. So then, we had... By the way, I finally found the troll that you guys were talking about. Okay. Then we had the Nintendo 64 era came out, okay? And PlayStation came out first, N64 came out second. And when N64 came out, a lot of people, including me, were expecting that Nintendo was going to blow away everyone else because I really felt Nintendo was the best game console of the 16-bit era. They had the best graphics, the best sound, everything was the best. So I'm thinking, oh, they know what they're doing, right? They're going to put out a console-based system or a cartridge-based system to compete with the CD-based system of PlayStation, all right? And I fully expected, that they were going to dominate. And then when the N64 came out and you started seeing the capabilities of what the console could do, it was underwhelming. The N64 could not perform as well as the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 outright had better graphics and had CD quality sound. The only downfall was that it had to load. Outside of that, it was kind of better, right? N64 still had great first-party titles, but they were underwhelming. Now, I want you have to put yourself into my shoes. I just played Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. I absolutely loved the freaking game. I was dying for a sequel, all right? What first thing Nintendo does, they come out with N64, and they change the whole game. They now make it full 3D, no more top-down graphics, no more nice cartoony pixels. Even the music, I mean, yes, some of the music of Ocarina is good, but they didn't even necessarily remix a lot of the tracks from Link to the Past. They created a lot of new ones for Ocarina, and now today they've reused those Ocarina of Time songs so many times. Now they're just synonymous with Zelda, and we love that classic Zelda music. I do too. But back in the day, it was just like a shock. It was like I went into expecting this is going to be the sequel to Link to the Past. And I started playing it, I'm like, this plays nothing like Link to the Past. Now you've got 3D aiming with a thumbstick that no one had ever used before. Now you've got 3D riding a horse around. And I was playing it. I didn't own it. I purposefully rented it first before I bought it. Okay? Because I heard it was going to be very different. And I didn't know if I was going to like it. Okay? After having rented the game, all right, I played it, and I was like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was like, I don't like this. I wish that this was like original Zelda Link to the Past. I really do. I wish that this game it didn't change so much, because they literally changed the entire thing. Did it have The bombs and the bow and arrow? Yes, it did. Did it have a master sword? Did it have a shield? Yes, it did. But the whole combat mechanic was changed. The whole exploration was changed. Too much was changed. And it bothered me. And I did not like Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. I remember at the time I was very upset because I was hoping for a really great Zelda game. And I didn't get it, right? I didn't get it. I was very disappointed with what that game was. Now, here's the thing. Many years later, as a YouTuber, I played Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS and did a full playthrough. And what I can tell you is, I loved it. And after having played it, I absolutely positively understand why so many people hold it in high regard. This is the game that basically laid the groundwork for all future Zeldas to then extrapolate and improve upon. So you can't say in right mind that Ocarina of Time is a bad game. If you like modern Zelda, most of the tropes of modern Zelda came from Ocarina of Time. They threw away the top-down mechanics of previous Zeldas, and if you like anything in a 3D Zelda, it's because Ocarina did it first. You understand? So here's the thing. If I'm going to rank the original Ocarina of Time, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think it's like a C. I'm serious. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe Phil would say that. How could you say that Ocarina of Time was a C? Because of the context I just gave you. All right? However, years later, I went back and I played Ocarina of Time 3D. And I can tell you very, very, very soundly, this game is an A or maybe an S. All right? Like, seriously, it's that good of a game after having experienced it in a modern setting with the 3DS and having an audience and you guys explaining it to me. It's absolutely one of the two, you see? Now, you might say, well, I don't understand. Well, how can you rank the original Ocarina so low? Because I'm giving you the context I played it in. When I played it as a kid, I disliked it. I didn't think it was a good game. That's how I'm going to rate it. But it doesn't mean it's bad, because if I talk about this version, I say, this is the one I played and as an adult and I liked, then this is definitely the one that needs to get ranked high. Do you understand? So I hope that you will not be upset with me, because I like Ocarina of Time. After having played it with you guys as a streamer and everything, I actually really enjoy the game. It's just that I played it late. I played it much later than most other people. Hell, I played Wind Waker and other games before it. You see? So I'm going to say, for now, I'm going to say Ocarina of Time isn't it. You know what? No, I'll say it's an S. Again, it's the one that laid the groundwork for all future 3D Zelda games. So I don't know how you can, if you like modern 3D Zelda, then you should like Ocarina. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You should like the game because that's where it all came from, right? It's kind of like seeing the origins and the roots of where something came from and be like, oh man, that's cool. It resonates with me, right? So I'm just going to say it gets an S, all right? And you say, well, what about the original? That should be S. From your perspective, you may be correct. I'm telling you my perspective. I didn't like the original one. I've never played it again, but I played the 3DS version. I loved it. So that's going to be the S rank. Okay? Now you guys want to kill me, I'm sure. Let's see. I got some shout outs to do. First of all, I received a tip. I received a $5 tip from Hiseo, who says, I never knew how many Zelda games there were made over these years. Personally, I loved playing Twilight Princess on the GameCube and Ocarina of Time on the N64. So there you go. Yeah, and they're great games. Now hold on a second, because now, oh shoot, that's right. For Tiermaker, if I want to do a pop-up for a tip, I have to do it on my laptop. That's right. Hold on a second, because I can do it. I have it set up on my laptop here. Here we go. If it loads. It's taking a while. It's been, the last time that I think I loaded this was during the last Tiermaker. So give me a second here for it to load and pop up properly, please. Donations, variations, and this should be a $5 tip. And voila! Thank you very much, Hiseo, for the $5 tip. I appreciate that very much. Let's get you up on the leaderboard, because actually, in actuality, you're a top tipper of the night. And we're almost an hour into the event. So that gets us to $10 in tips. Guys, thank you for your support tonight. anyone who supported in any way. In fact, I think I have a super chat to shout out. Hold on. I gotta go back to my other screen here. Yes, Lucifer Soul actually did a $5 super chat and said the following. The story of Majora's Mask is pretty much an allegory for death. Yeah, you know what's interesting? A lot of people say if you analyze the story of Majora's Mask that it pretty much could be that Link is dead. He dies at the beginning or something. And the entire game is just a hallucination fever dream. Like his life flashing before his eyes and him having this crazy story in his head, but it's not really happening. There's a lot of interesting takes on Zelda games, for sure. And I think that Majora's Mask is one of the ones that actually has one of, or some of the most interesting takes on it. Okay? Absolutely. Overpowered Boone says, just a reminder, if you're watching this on demand right now, guys, if you're watching it later after the fact, leave a comment and let me know what you think. What do you think of these rankings? What do you think of the reasoning? What is your personal rank? I would love to hear your top 3 favorite Zelda games and your most hated Zelda game. That would be a really cool thing to leave in the comments for engagement, and I read all those comments. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's continue, shall we? Now here's the thing. I never played the original Link's Awakening, but I did play the HD version, and that is here, correct? Is it called Link's Awakening DX? No. What's the one that was the HD version from 2019? Where the hell is it? Link to the Past, The Adventure of Link, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening. Here it is. Nintendo Switch. Okay? That's the one that I've played. Alright? That's the one that I've played. So, that one I'll comment on. But what is Link's Awakening DX? What the hell is that? I don't think I played that one. Link's Awakening DX? I don't think I played that. DX is a Game Boy Color version with an extra dungeon. Never. Okay. That one I never played. Let's get that down here. I definitely never played that one. Another 4 Swords. Never played that one. Let's get the 4 Swords out of there. Let's see what else we got. Ocarina of Time Master Quest? No, I never played Master Quest. Because I want to narrow it down to the ones we're actually going to be talking about. What the hell does this say? My Nintendo what? I can't even read that. What does that say? Hold on. Picross? What the hell is Picross? I don't know what that is. Picross. Wow. Okay. Alright, I'm looking at all these. By the way, guys, we basically just hit the hour mark. So thank you all for chilling with me here tonight. I appreciate everyone who's been here, having a good time with the Tiermaker. Since we're hitting the halfway mark, I just want to give some updates. So we're at 83 likes with almost 300 viewers. Thank you. That's a lot of viewers for something like this. I want to say thank you to everyone who's here and anyone who is chilling with me and being a part of the fun. If we get 17 more likes, that will help for engagement, and I'll do a celebratory bubble blow for you guys. So please consider liking the stream if you haven't yet and you're having a good time. Outside of that, actually, super chats are quite good for the first hour. Thank you for that. And no new members, and tips are around $10. So not too hot there. But the super chats are pretty good. So if you're enjoying this, if you could support it in any way, I would really appreciate it. And I'll also say this, for those watching on demand, if you like these Tiermaker videos, one way you could definitely support this channel is by leaving a super thanks. These will not get claimed. It's one of the few pieces of content I put on this React channel that will not get claimed. So if you could maybe, go a little bit above and beyond, as they say, maybe do a super thanks on the video, or maybe look at the description for the tips link and leave a tip on for the video, I would really appreciate that. Okay? Now, so a couple more shout outs. Arian O'Kelly did a super chat saying, thank you for reacting to my clip. Shout out Jason. All right, you're welcome. I don't know what you're talking about or which clip was yours, but thank you. And Radical Jaws is here tonight. He did a super chat. He says, man, allergies are acting up, but this is a great stream. I'm sorry to hear your allergies are acting up. I think it's starting to bother a lot of people. Actually, this weekend, we are going to have, listen to this, record high hot weather. This weekend coming up in Washington State. Listen to this. It's only May, and we're supposed to have 94-degree weather over the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, it's going to be in the 80s to low 90s. Monday, it's supposed to be, so a week from today, it's supposed to be 94. And when that happens, what ends up happening is absolutely exploding pollen. All the fucking plants are going to go and explode. All right? So there you go. Okay. So thank you to Radical Jaws. Luckily, we do have some allergy medications in the house, and what I need to do is look up the generics online, because I forgot to do that. I need to look up the generic medications online, see if I can get them for, like, cheaper than the store. In the store, it's ridiculous. It's like, oh, you want a bottle of 20 allergy pills? Yeah, $25. It's like, what? That's insane. So I gotta see if I can find them cheaper. Okay. So, shall we continue? What's the hottest it's ever been here? 111 degrees Fahrenheit, and that was a couple summers ago, the hottest it's ever been. Okay, let's continue on. Now, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get to my ultimate nostalgic past of Zelda. Link to the Past is so effing good, all right? A Link to the Past basically continued the original 2 games from NES, but extrapolated upon the original and expanded upon it in so many different ways. It improved the combat, it improved the traversal with 3D jumping and the like, it improved the graphics, it improved the music. There was 2 different worlds you could warp between, so it was double the content of the original game. Like, seriously, and it had saving on the cartridge. Super Nintendo, you know, the first console or Nintendo console to really have the in-game saving rather than a password system. And so to be able to have progress in the game and save your progress and resume it at a later date without having to write down a million characters or fucking decoding the Da Vinci Code or whatever was really nice. To this day, I still remember the ending of the game and how epic it was when I beat it the first time, and I was like tearing up because the game was so goddamn good. I remember the ending is ridiculously top 5 best game endings of all time. Zelda, Link to the Past. Seriously, to this day, having credits, and the credits are basically your epilogue where it shows what happened to every character. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I'm seriously getting fucking goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps just humming the ending theme of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is S. And if anyone disagrees with me, alright, if you disagree with me, there's only one thing that I have to say. Hold on. Try this again. Ready? There's only one thing that I have to say. Wrong! It's S tier. There's nothing you can do to dispute it. It's so amazing. Like I said, it took the concepts from the original NES title and it extrapolated it upon it in such an amazing way. Like I said, double the content, much better graphics, better controls because you had the SNES controller, so more buttons. The combat was dramatically refined and different, having the chart. Remember, you could run and charge and stab with the running charge. You could charge your move into a spin slash. You know, there was so much to it. It was very complex compared to the hammer and the other items and stuff you could use in it. Dude, absolutely outstanding. So, I absolutely love Link to the Past. It's you know, my favorite retro Zelda game. Retro Zelda. Alright? Alright. Let's see here. Dave says, the story of Majora's Mask takes place 2 months after the events of Ocarina of Time. It follows Link on a personal quest who ends up in Termina, a world parallel to Hyrule. Derek says, A Link to the Past you played last year. It came out in 1991 in Japan, 92 in North America. That is all correct. Yes. Alright. Oh, by the way, Tim did a super chat. And he says, hey, Phil, some good content. Well, thank you to Tim. I appreciate you saying so. Let me get you up on the leaderboard, Tim, for your super chat. It was Tim C? Not Tim X. Tim C. Thank you, Tim. Okay. All right, continuing on. Now, I think we should rank the Zelda games in order, right? It'd be stupid to rank The Adventure of Link before you rank The Legend of Zelda, okay? So, here's the thing. The Legend of Zelda is the one that started it all. It was actually an insanely unique RPG on the NES at the time. It was a top-down style. It was, great music. I still remember the original dungeon music from Zelda. Do 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 do. Right? It's awesome. You can think that how they took that theme in future Zelda games, they remixed it and redid it. And it was crazy because that was on NES. Like, there was really good music on the NES for that game. I loved it. I loved Zelda 1. However, Zelda 1 also has some really annoying parts. Zelda 1 has some parts that are so cryptic that if you don't know exactly what you're doing or how to do it, you basically... It's one of those games that, like, it's fun to play, but unless you actually had the strategy guide or Nintendo Power at the time, you're going to get stuck. At some point, you're not going to know how to make progress in the game. And that's annoying, all right? I do feel like, sadly, that game is held back because of the time it came out, but it's still an amazing game. And again, it laid the groundwork of so many different tropes and things from future Zeldas. But, I mean, I think Link to the Past is definitively better as a sequel. I think it does everything better than the original, right? So if you have a sequel that absolutely, positively, 100% surpasses the original, you can't rank them the same, you see? So for me, by the highest I can even give the original Legend of Zelda is an A. I can't give it higher than an A because then Link to the Past can't be best in class, top-down style Zelda. You understand? Gargantuan Enemy Lobster says, actually, I'm wrong because Zelda 1 and 2 on the NES did actually have battery saves. See, I didn't know that because I didn't own them. I didn't buy those games. I saw my cousin play them. I didn't play them until years later on the Game Boy Advance. That's when I actually played Zelda. So, well, let me take that back. I played Zelda 1 on Game Boy Advance. I never played Zelda 2 Adventure of Link till last year. That's when I actually played it, you see? So, I guess you're correct then. If there was battery saves on the NES cartridges, my bad. I didn't know that because I never played the originals on NES. So I'm sorry about that. If I misrepresented the classics, I wholeheartedly apologize. I'm very sorry for that. And I should be punished. Bad Phil. There we go. That hurt, actually. Okay, let's continue. The Adventure of Link. Alright? So here's a weird thing about The Adventure of Link. It's the direct sequel to Legend of Zelda, but it plays nothing like Legend of Zelda. They went for this weird other direction with the franchise, turning it into a 2D platformer action game with RPG elements instead of retaining the top-down, exploration and stuff of the original. Now, there is top-down gameplay in Zelda 2, but it's just the world map. Once you get into any kind of a dungeon or town, the entire game changes. Also, Zelda 2 has traditional towns where you go in, it's safe, and there's the people you talk, townspeople, you go inside houses. Like, you don't really necessarily do that in Zelda 1. You do that in Zelda Link to the Past, where there actually is a whole town you can go into, and you can explore and talk to the townspeople, but it's from a top-down perspective. So, it's kind of interesting that Adventure of Link went so different in another direction. Now, I played it last year, and man, I'm going to tell you something. That shit is not fair. That game has some really unfair parts where you have to fight a ridiculous amount of tough enemies in a row, and there is, like, no healing or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just really annoying. It's like, in a lot of cases, you have to die first to know it's coming, so then you know to have the resources available to get past it. But you can't know what's coming until you get to it. So you're destined to fail, and then go back and redo it and prepare properly. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't like that. In any game, I feel like you should have an honest shot to one-shot it if you're good enough. And I actually feel like with Adventure of Link, because of the way they designed it, stacking so many tough enemies in one room or whatever, and you don't have to, I didn't save my resources because I didn't know this was coming. That's kind of unfair. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Adventure of Link is a good game. I actually like a lot of the music of it. I thought the soundtrack was one of the best things about it. But there was definitely a lot of very annoying things about the game. Do you remember sometimes you're in a world map and all of a sudden you're randomly teleported to a challenge, like a combat challenge? Like, what the hell is that about? Why is this in the middle of the game, like almost like a random encounter in Final Fantasy, but then you have to play the game with action? It was weird. It was almost like the game didn't know what it wanted to be. And it's weird also because that was the only Zelda ever they made in that style. They made the one that after that they went back to top-down, then it went to full 3D, and they never went back. They never tried to make a 2D Zelda as like a platformer ever again. They gave up on it after that one. So, for me, all right, I look at Adventure of Link and I can say, you know, well, good on them for trying something, but I don't think it worked. I actually think it kind of failed and didn't do as well as they had intended it to do. So I'm going to actually say Adventure of Link, sadly, is going to rank about a C for me. I really don't think it's that good of a Zelda game compared to many others. It's not as fun to play. It's very, very annoying. And they gave up on it after that one because they realized how bad it was. Okay? So I'm giving it a C. Now, in the meantime, first of all, I received a super chat from Don Fanucci, who says, which Zelda do you think had the best combat? We'll talk about that. Let's keep going. Let's go through all my rankings. And then when I'm done with all the rankings, then we can determine like which ultimately is the best here or whatever. Okay? So thank you, Don, for the super chat. And I believe people are saying we might have hit our 100 likes. Is that correct? Did we hit our 100 likes for the night? Let me take a look. No, you guys are heinous liars. We did not. I'm just kidding. So, since we hit our goal, that means tonight we will have a full screen, full on Zelda celebratory bubble blow. Zelda special edition for you. Ready? Da-da-da-da! That was it? What a dud. I'm doing it again. Da-da-da-da! Much better. Ah! Ah! Got me in the face. Ugh. Okay. What did we get? Did we get a heart? We got a heart piece. We opened the chest. Da-da-da-da! Heart piece. And then it bubbles right in the eyeballs. Not good. Okay. Thank you guys for chilling with me tonight. And thanks to everyone who supported the stream so far. It's really nice of you. Let's keep it rolling. All right. Let's keep it rolling. We got more to rank. Again, thank you if you could support the stream tonight. I would really appreciate if you did. All right. Link's Awakening Nintendo Switch version. All right. So, interesting thing here about this game. I did play this in 2019, and I didn't know anything about Link's Awakening. I just knew it was a Game Boy game that I had never played. When I played the Switch version, first of all, they had redone the graphics completely to be 3D, so it was kind of interesting. It kind of looked cutesy, cartoony, but then I realized, oh my god, it's literally the direct sequel to A Link to the Past. It plays exactly like A Link to the Past, okay? That's really cool. I was actually blown away because I didn't know that about the game originally. I thought that it was just like some very different kind of spin-off game because the Game Boy couldn't really handle it. But actually, it's really good. If you like Link to the Past, you will absolutely love Link's Awakening, all right? It has a unique story about this bird and egg hatching and everything on an island and everything there. And it's very different than the story of the other Zelda games, for sure. You know, him getting shipwrecked and waking up on the island. As Link's Awakening, he wakes up. The question is it real? Or is it, again, is it like Majora's Mask? Is this a hallucination that didn't really happen? Or is it really happening, right? What I can tell you is, I really liked the game, but I will wholeheartedly admit that, number one, it's nowhere near as good as Link to the Past. It's not as long. It doesn't have the whole two worlds aspect to it like Link to the Past does. And I actually don't think that the story is even as good. All right. It is a shorter game as well. It's not as long as other Zelda games because it was for Game Boy. The Switch version's good. Very good. The way that they redid the graphics and everything. But I just don't think it's like an amazing, oh my god, blow me away, outstanding game. So I would probably put it around probably B tier, I would say, would be where I would put that. Okay, B tier. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going to say B tier. All right? Fair enough? Now, wait a minute. Four Swords Anniversary Edition, I did not play that. We can get rid of that one. Ancient Stone Tablets, I don't even know what the hell that is, so I definitely didn't play that one. And get rid of that. Get rid of a few of these. What the hell is BS? The Legend of Zelda? Bullshit Legend of Zelda? There was a bullshit edition? What was that? The bullshit edition. Shout out to Lice for Soul who did another super chat. He says, Majora's Mask got a lot of hate when it first came out because of its difficulty and the strong success of Ocarina of Time. Did it? See, I don't know about these history things because, like I said, I didn't buy any of the Zelda games on N64. I had an N64, and I owned like maybe 5-6 games for it, and I never really expanded my library because I got so heavily into the PS1, I just stopped caring about the N64. So yeah, like, yeah, I don't really know too much about the lore behind the games like you're telling me, so thank you for sharing, Lice for Soul. BS Legend of Zelda was a remake of the first game that was released only in Japan and only playable via a gimmicky live service called Sattel View. Ugh. Alright, I think we're going to just say I didn't play it, and we're going to put it down here. That sounds like a headache. So, did I play Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition? No, I did not. Did I play Hyrule Warriors Legends? No, I did not. I did play Hyrule Warriors, and we will talk about that. I did not play Cadence... Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. I played the demo of Cadence of Hyrule, and it performed so poorly that I actually didn't buy the final game. So should I talk... I think I should talk about that. I think I should be... I think I absolutely should. My Nintendo Picross... No, I never played a Picross Nintendo game. And I never played Zelda on the Game & Watch. However, listen to this. I can tell you about what Game Watch is. Do you know what? Does anyone even know what Game Watch is? Do you know what that is? I know what it is. Does anyone know what Game Watch is? I'm just curious if anyone in the chat knows what that means. Game Watch. Do you know? Anyone? Does anyone know? And if you know, shout it out. Tell me what the Game Watch is. No. I did not say Game & Watch. I said Game Watch. That's what it says here. Game Watch. Okay? It's not Mr. Game & Watch. No. They're two completely separate things. And you may not realize this. I think Tallyman got it right. Okay. So... in the late 80s and early 90s, all right, basically, there was a fad. And the fad was take a really great game on a console and turn it into a really piece of shit that kids will play but not know the better. And what happened is a lot of parents would not know the difference and buy these for their children. Now, you may have heard of some of them were actually called Tiger Electronics games, all right? These were shit. These were these little handheld games that you would buy for like $20. And they'd run on like 2 or 4 AA batteries. And it was terrible. It was just not even graphics. It was essentially a liquid crystal display that just had black and white little pictures that would move and would go blip, bloop, blip, bloop, blip, bloop, blip. It didn't even have the graphics of like the Atari. It was like 2 frames of animation per second. I'm serious. It was like every second they were like 1 frame, 1 frame, 1 frame. So it'd be like Street Fighter. It's Ryu like this. You press the button, he goes, doot. You press it again, doot. Press the kick, whoop. It's like, this is Street Fighter? What the fuck is this? That's how they were. So Game Watch, the reason I know this is because, ladies and gentlemen, as a kid, I owned the Legend of Zelda Game Watch. Okay? I owned it before I ever had owned another Zelda game. I got it as a Christmas present. I've told you guys this story before. Every Christmas, I used to go to my great aunt's house, great aunt and uncle, and that was our big Christmas event that we used to do. And my great uncle would dress up like Santa Claus, and he would come out, and he would, for me and my cousins, we would all sit on his lap. He'd say, "Oh, ho, ho, were you good this year?" And then he would give you a present, and then you get a big stocking. And one year, in my Christmas stocking, was the Legend of Zelda Game Watch. And I had completely forgotten I owned this until I looked at this Tiermaker this week, and I was like, holy shit, I had it. All right? So, basically, here's what it was. All right? It was a watch you had to wear, and it didn't fucking tell time. So how you could call it a watch, I don't know, because isn't the criteria for a watch is that it tells time? If it doesn't tell time, then it's not a watch, it's a bracelet, right? But they called it a watch, right? So no, this was not a Tiger. I'm pretty sure the Nintendo branded game watches were not Tiger brand. I'm almost positive they weren't. Now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they were not Tiger brand, okay? So what it was it looked like it was a watch on your wrist. It was a big, like a square, and if I remember correctly, it was either green, brown, or both, because that's like the colors of like Link in Zelda. And it had a tiny little like grayish screen with like little LCD LED, and all it was like Link. And when you press the button, it would just be like Link top down standing there. And when you press the button, a sword would come out, blip, like this, blip, just stick out. Like think if I'm top down Link, and you press the button, a sword would come out, blip, just like that. And so you would time, you see an enemy coming up, you go blip, blip, and like that was it. That was the whole fucking game. I think you could move like 2 spaces or 1 space back and forth and just hit an enemy. Blip, blip. Now, if I remember correctly, it had the official Zelda branding, like I said, Legend of Zelda on it and everything. But dude, it didn't look like Zelda. It didn't sound like Zelda. It was literally like if you took Zelda 1, and you took the screen from it and you threw it in a microwave and you fucking melted it into mush, right? And you took the controller for your NES and you took a hammer and you went and the fucking buttons were popping off and flying off. And you handed that controller to a kid with the melted screen. You say, "Here you go, kid, play Zelda." I mean, that's the Zelda Game Watch, okay? It's trash. So, out of all this stuff, Zelda Game Watch is the absolute bottom of the barrel worst experience you could possibly have with a Zelda game. It's so pathetically bad. It's laughable they even made the fucking game. I can't believe they did. All right? And it was a ripoff because kids didn't ask for that. Like, literally, children would not ask for these. This was something that the parents didn't understand that was not the game. So they would get, oh, my kid, he plays Zelda all the time. I'll get him the Zelda watch. So you get him the Zelda watch, you get it like, what the fuck is this? Like, what am I? There's no time on it. What was it? Beep, boop, beep, 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 beep. The fuck is this? You wear it for 10 seconds, you take it off, you fucking shove it in a drawer, and you never see it ever again. You know? So there you go. Yeah, so it's junk. Just like the rest of those LED, LCD. They were LCD screen shit. They're junk. Okay. You know what's funny? Because they call it liquid crystal display. And you might say, why'd they call it that? Because back in the day, you could actually take your finger and you could push the screen and you would actually see liquid move in the screen. So like, though I remember specifically owning Tiger games and then watches, and you could do that, and you would see like a ripple in the screen. But if you did that half the time, you would break it too. You could actually break your game doing that. Okay. So let's continue. One other one that I'm just going to right off the bat get rid of. Link's crossbow training. Does anyone remember what this is? I want to confirm the year because I think I know what this is. Yep. Absolutely. It is what I thought it was. So Link's crossbow training is the Wii motion target game. You would take the Wiimote, and remember they used to have the accessory for it called the Zapper, and you would put the Wiimote into the Zapper, and you would aim it at your TV, and you would fire. I don't think I owned it. I think I had the demo. I played it. I remember specifically playing it. And let me put it this way. It wasn't bad. But it wasn't good. It was an oddity because at the time they were really desperate to try to get people to play the Wii games with the motion controls and to buy all the accessories, right? So you gotta buy the fucking gun accessory. Now, you wanna know what the gun accessory was for the Wii? a piece of plastic. All it is a piece of plastic. You take your Wiimote, you put it in, and now instead of pushing the button on the Wiimote, you pull a trigger and it depresses the same exact button that's on the Wiimote, but you can hold it like a rifle or a gun, and it was like $25 for a piece of plastic. It was the biggest ripoff ever. It's a piece of junk, okay? And not too many good games at all used it. But I remember I had it. I bought it. This is before I was a YouTuber, by the way. I was getting back into console gaming heavily, and I got an Xbox 360, a PS3, and a Wii. And I bought a lot of accessories for the Wii. I owned the Wii Fit. I had that wheel for Mario Kart for the Wii, where you try to play, and it's like impossible to fucking play, so that you throw the wheel away, and then you can actually play better with the motion controls. Yeah, like, I had all that junk for the Wii, including the Zapper. And so I don't think I bought the crossbow game, but I'm fairly certain I had the demo for it. And I hated it. I was like, this is nothing like Zelda. Like, it doesn't, this is, the only branding is that, oh, it's Zelda with the crossbow. But, like, literally, it could have been any other characters on the screen, and it wouldn't have mattered. It wasn't like, oh, this is a story of Zelda. It was just a gimmick game that you play for like 10 minutes, you'll never play it again. So, a junk-ass tie-in game to make, you know, basically bank off of the licensing of Zelda, that's a fucking D-tier junk. That is literally, like, bottom-of-the-barrel crap that no one should be wasting their time and money on. And so that's another game, Zelda Game Watch and Link's crossbow training. Put them at the bottom of your trash can, and then throw all your rotten food on top of them, poop in the can. I don't know why you would poop in your trash can. But you know what I'm saying? They're junk. They are absolute positive junk. All right? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 90 minutes in to this tier maker, and now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, the last few games that I'm actually going to rank for you guys. And then what we're going to do is look at the rankings and see if we agree if any of these should be moved around. All right? Cool. So, thank you for watching. Let's continue on. And let's rank the Musou Zelda games. Does anyone know what Musou is? Musou. M-O-S-O-U. A Musou game is a game made popular by the Dynasty Warriors franchise, where essentially your character running out into an open field with a ton of generic enemies coming at you, and you can use combos and abilities to basically beat up a bunch of these enemies and kind of knock them back and do big, ginormous, colorful combos, big, flashy abilities. Usually, typically in these games, you play as more than one character that you can switch between, and each one plays a little differently with different combos, different abilities, and the like. But really, it became very, very popular with Dynasty Warriors, all right? So at one point, when Dynasty Warriors was very popular, Nintendo said, oh, we should jump on the bandwagon, because they were looking to license that engine to all these different IPs. And over the years, they licensed it to Zelda, they licensed it to Persona. What was the other one? Did they license it to like one or two others recently as well? I don't really remember off the top of my head. So, we're talking about Hyrule Warriors, all right? This was the first ever, excuse me, the first ever, now wait a minute, Cadence of Hyrule. What was the name of the sequel of Hyrule Warriors? Was it Age of Calamity, or was it Cadence of Hyrule? What's Cadence of Hyrule? I think I'm getting my games crossed. Cadence of Hyrule is a rhythm game? Oh, I never played that one. Okay, that one's goes to here. Did they have Age of Calamity here? I don't think they do, right? No, they don't. Okay. So Hyrule Warriors was the original Musou game. Was it like 2014, I want to say? And I believe it was on the Wii U. And it was, let me put it this way. Okay. It was fun. It was actually quite a fun game. I actually really enjoyed it. The problem was the game didn't run very well on the Wii U, meaning there was a lot of issues with the frame rate. And the thing is, when you're playing a Musou game and you are going out into an open field and there's a ridiculous amount of enemies coming at you, what's the one thing you absolutely need to be solid? The frame rate. And if the frame rate is dipping, now you lose control of what's going on in this big combat. And the thing is, in these Musou games, if you die, a lot of the times you got to do the whole level over from the start. Okay? And I remember specifically that game had a frame rate that would go up and down like this. You know, you'd start out great, and then all of a sudden, oh, here comes a big boss, or here comes a bunch of enemies, and it would go boo, and frustrate you. I do remember playing as Zelda, playing as Link. I believe you played as some of the other big warriors like the Gorons and stuff. That was neat. I actually liked the premise of the game. I really enjoyed it. The problem was with that frame rate going crazy, it just wasn't as enjoyable of an experience as I would have liked. So I remember liking it. I played the whole thing. I remember I played it from start to finish. I did enjoy the playthrough. But the big disappointment was the performance. So based on that and my memory of it, I mean, it's been almost 10 years ago since I played it, I'm probably going to put it in like, you know, it's real hard to say. I'm going to have to say C tier. Why? I would say, yeah, it's an issue just like Skyward Sword, the original Skyward Sword, where sadly, because the controls sucked in Skyward Sword, the game would have been a solid B or maybe an A, but it's a C. Same thing. Like Hyrule Warriors would have been a solid B, maybe even an A, but I'd probably more of a B. But the fact that the frame rate and the graphics constantly underperformed and dipped and annoyed you and resulted in death after death and then having to replay stages, I got to give it a C. All right. Now, there was a sequel, and the sequel was called Age of Calamity. And I was actually interested in playing it because this one was on the Switch. And I'm like, dude, if it's on the Switch, they probably solved all those problems from the Wii U. I get the demo, I play it. Dude, it was worse. The frame rate was atrociously bad. It was over the top laggy as shit. I couldn't believe how bad the demo played. And from what I'm to understand, a lot of people thought, oh, that's just the demo. People bought the final version, and it was just as bad. The whole game was choppy and laggy. So I'm glad I didn't buy it. It's very sad that happened. It would have been nice if they did better for the sequel. People in the chat are telling me that Definitive Edition that's listed here that I never played, I guess it's called Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, that one came out for the Switch, and apparently that one ran beautifully, smooth 60 frames. So what I don't get about that then is, let's think about this, right? So you're telling me that the original game on the Wii U was choppy, so then they released a Definitive Edition on the Switch that ran at 60 frames, but then they made a sequel, and the sequel was choppy. They didn't learn from the first failure. They had to remake it to be run better, and then they made a sequel that was bad again. I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rank the final Zelda game on our tier maker, and then we're gonna do an ultimate rundown and see if we want to change any of these rankings. Okay, so Majora's Mask 3D. All right, this game is so weird because this game has so many odd things to it. Okay, okay, first of all, let's be honest here, right? It's a weird Zelda game. Is it even real? Does it actually happen? Or, you know, is it a dream, a fever dream after Ocarina? I don't even know yet. I played it and I don't even know, right? The fact that the world's going to end in a certain amount of time and you only have a couple days or whatever to do what you want to do, and then the whole thing has to reset because the world ends, it's such a weird plot, right? It's unique, but it's dark. A lot of the people in the game are like, oh, well, everything's going to end, big deal. And others are like freaking out. It's so odd how everyone is reacting differently to the end of the world. But it's weird playing a game that's supposed to be like a cutesy Nintendo game talking about the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? The fact that it has classic Zelda gameplay, but then it's changed because you put on the masks and it changes how you play. Like, you know what I mean? You put on the Octorok mask and all of a sudden you're shooting the Deku nuts and stuff like that. That's very unique and interesting, but it's also confusing. Like, as you play through this game, you essentially are like, you don't even know, like, what should you be doing? Like, what masks are the important ones? What ones aren't? Where should you be using each mask? What's the timing of each puzzle? Because all these puzzles have unique different times. You have to be in certain places. And then there's hidden content that you can easily skip, but you don't have to do it to beat the game. But then it adds on to the game if you do it, right? It's of all the games in this list, there's two that really stand out for different kind of tone. One is Majora's Mask and one is Twilight Princess, right? All the other ones you can argue, okay, maybe there's bad stuff going on, but it's kind of upbeat, it's colorful. These two games are like almost depressing when you think about it, right? And the other thing is the weird story of the Skull Kid. And like, who the hell is the Skull Kid? You know, and how is he screwing everything up with the masks and everything? It's just so weird that they did this with the plot. I'll be honest, there's parts of it I really like, and there's parts of it I hate. For example, with the whole time limit thing. To have to rush, you have to feel like you're being rushed through dungeons. Because if you don't complete the dungeon by the end of the cycle, if you remember, it resets. And you have to do the whole fucking dungeon over. That's bullshit. Like, why not let you save? Why not be immune to the time thing in the dungeon? At least let you play through the fucking dungeon. Don't tell me because I didn't finish the dungeon on my first try in the dungeon. Right? It's the first time even doing the dungeon. So I don't even know that much about it. I'm trying to discover. And, you know, a lot of part of Zelda is kind of taking your time exploring and you know, finding optional things and finding ways to solve the dungeons. And then the game is like, nah, you can't do that. You can't do that because you have to do it in a time period, a time frame. Or else you got to start over from the beginning. Now, fair enough. Someone just said, there's songs you can play that slows down time. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, it's still the frustration factor of having to go through that. You understand what I'm saying? Name another RPG where you can't take your time to explore and enjoy a dungeon because there's always a big looming time limit over your head. I don't like that. I actually feel like that was maybe a misstep, right? In the series, and I don't think that they did a very good job with that. But I definitely liked the uniqueness of the fact that the plot was very different from other Zelda games. And the masks, you know, the uniqueness of, oh, you put a mask on, and now you completely play differently, right? That's kind of neat. It's unique, but I feel like it's a mixed bag. Like, I feel like some of the stuff is very, very fun, because it's unique and different, and then other stuff is very frustrating. And it's kind of a mix. Like, when you're liking the game, you really like it, but then when the frustration kicks in, it's like, ah, fuck, you know, I don't like it. So it's kind of this mix. I would say, like, here's ultimately what I would say. It's a great game. I really do feel it's a great game. But if I'm looking at these games, like, definitely I feel Ocarina is better. If you're looking at the 3D Zeldas, I do feel Ocarina is better than Majora's Mask, okay? Is Majora's Mask as good as Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, and the original Legend of Zelda? Well, think of it this way. Is Majora's Mask better than A Link Between Worlds, Twilight Princess, and Link's Awakening on the Switch? It's a tough question. Oh my god, what the hell? Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas, one and all! I didn't mean to click on that. I meant to click on this. I'm gonna say, Christmas in May seems early. Alright, anyway. That was, you're like, what the hell? Little misclick there. Anyway, this is a tough question, right? I actually don't know where to rank this one. Out of all the games that we have definitively ranked in Zelda, I'm actually having a hard time. Should this be A? Should this be B? Because, man, that time thing pisses me off. It really does. It pisses me off. Well, I think we'll put it in A, but now what we need to do, because we have about, you know, a little bit of time left here. Even though I could easily end the Tiermaker here. Oh, no, I go above and beyond. What we're going to do now, we're going to go through each one of these and make sure that I feel like I've ranked these properly. Okay? Because I almost feel like some of these absolutely, but others maybe we need to shift around. Okay? So let's take a quick look. And by the way, again, I want to say thank you to the live audience. You've been great. You've been interactive. The attendance has been good. You know, the support. Super chats have been great. So thank you for that. Like I would say, for those watching on demand, please, if you like this event, if you could support it on demand after the fact with like super thanks or a tip, that would be great. It looks like it's been a slow night here outside of super chats. I was hoping to maybe get some memberships or you know, but it is what it is. I'm still enjoying myself. I'm having a great time, and I hope that everyone is enjoying the Tiermaker, okay? Derek, you have a great night. See you later. Okay. So first of all, let's go through it, okay? Top tier. Ocarina of Time, and of course, I'm saying Ocarina of Time 3D, because that's the one that I played fully and enjoyed as an adult, and A Link to the Past, okay? I feel like those are absolutely, like, the best Zelda games. And you can disagree, and that's okay if you do. But to me, those are the two that stand out. You got best-in-class 2D and best-in-class 3D. And in some ways, they were kind of originators. They were innovators, right? The things from those games still stand out to this day. You know what I mean? So, absolutely, I feel that those two are the best. Now, you could disagree. That's all right. But I think those two are the absolute best games. All right? And that's not going to change. I really feel like those are going to be the best. Okay? Now, Game Watch and Link's crossbow training, I don't think that anyone's going to argue that the Legend of Zelda Game Watch, the LCD piece of shit, and the stupid crossbow minigame training that was part of like a package in with the Wii Wotes, I don't think anyone's going to disagree that those are shit. Those are shit tier, right? Those are like Goron Duty tier, right? Those are like, you know, Octorok balls tier. They're terrible. They shouldn't exist. Good night, Willow. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Now, here's what we need to do. Tackle the middle three. The A, the B, and the C. All right? First thing we should say, all right? If we take a look at A, which is Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda 1, and Majora's Mask, okay? If I'm thinking of all those games, like out of all of those, which one do I like the most? I mean, honestly, Legend of Zelda 1 is probably an A tier simply because it's the original Zelda game. It is very outdated now and has some really annoying parts, but being that it's the one that started it all and created so many original things in gaming, including soundtrack that's been used ever since then, and you know what I mean? Like top-down RPG gaming and stuff like that. So, I feel like it's an A because of nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't the one that started it all, then maybe it wouldn't be an A. But I feel like that's why it's there, and it kind of should deserve that spot. I think the other three, if you'd like in terms of enjoyability, gameplay, they're all kind of equal in my opinion. Like, I think I liked Breath of the Wild as much as I liked Wind Waker, as much as I liked Majora's Mask. I think they're all really good games. So, I don't think necessarily I would say, oh, this one's definitively better than the other. I think they're kind of equivalent. If anything, if there was one I would demote, it would be Legend of Zelda 1. But I guess let's take a look at our B tier. A Link Between Worlds, the Twilight Princess, of course this is the HD version, and Link's Awakening, the Nintendo Switch version. Well, there's absolutely no way you could say that Link's Awakening is as good as Link to the Past. It's a much shorter game. It's a lot more basic. It's still great. It's still fun. All right? Twilight Princess. It's a good game, but is it as good as Breath of the Wild or Majora's Mask or Wind Waker? Honestly, for me, I'm going to say no. Now, you could disagree. I think this is really where we're going to come into things where they're going to be contentious, right? If you personally really loved Twilight Princess, then probably you're going to say that that should be way higher up. But the thing is, like, out of all the games that we just went through the list, all right? Like I said, what do I think about when I think Breath of the Wild? I think, wow, I remember when I looked at the open world for the first time and I saw all these things moving in the background and things in the sky. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Look at the breadth of this world, and I'm going to traverse all of it, right? When I think of Wind Waker, I remember, you know, going on the ocean and the music, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, and you're sailing through the ocean, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I love that. It's like your naval adventure. And you can see things off in the distance. You see these big tornadoes and these things appearing. It's a really neat game in that respect, okay? Majora's Mask. You remember that hideous devil moon coming to kill you. You remember putting on the mask and transforming. Those games have things that stand out so much. And I think Twilight Princess, the only thing I really remember is the light and dark aspect turning you back and forth from being a wolf. I actually don't even remember much at all about the game. That's not good. Now, maybe that's my problem. Maybe that year, because that year a lot of bad stuff happened, 2016. A lot of stuff happened in my life bad that year for sure. Maybe that's why I don't remember it that much. But for me, like, all the other Zeldas stand out more than that one in my mind. So that's why I feel like it has to be below them. It has to be like a tier below the other three. All right? Only Between Worlds, like I said, I really liked, but I never beat it. And I think it had issues. I definitely thought that there were parts that were kind of annoying. If anything, maybe I would downgrade Link Between Worlds to a C. Okay? And maybe if I were doing that, maybe I would upgrade the original Ocarina of Time to B. Again, I didn't like the original Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. So I'm not going to be putting it at A and S. But out of respect of how many people love that original version of the game, I push that up one as a trade with Link Between Worlds, right? Push that down one, right? Kind of what I'm thinking. All right? And the other thing that gets me here, that's annoying to me, is that they didn't have Skyward Sword HD. Because if this were Skyward Sword HD, all right, I actually feel like this would go up. Like, this would at very least be a B. It might even go to A tier. Because Skyward Sword HD takes out the motion controls. It makes the game so much more responsive and fun and better. And it's kind of annoying that they don't have that one. But I don't think there's really a perfect tier maker for any of these. You know what I mean? The other thing is, it does suck that I didn't play so many of these. I mean, a lot of these are different alternate versions or the handheld ones, you know? So, and I think, yeah, I've heard Oracle of Seasons and Ages are real good. I've heard DSPReacts, Phantom Hourglass are real good. It's a shame. Maybe one day they'll make a collection of those, right? It would be nice if they would make, like, a collection of those that would port it to, like, the Switch or the next Nintendo console, where you could sit down, maybe pay like $100, but you get, like, 4 or 5 of the handheld Zeldas now made into like games you can play on your console. I think I would love that. I'm actually kind of sad that it feels like there's a lot of games that are kind of being missed out on because there's just no way to actively play those in the modern era, right? What am I going to do? Go find a Game Boy Advance to play these games on? And they never really ported them to anything, right? So, August says, didn't you quit Skyward Sword HD because you were bored? No, I wasn't bored at all. I was having a blast with it. I kept telling you guys I loved how much better it was with the controls. It was the audience that didn't like it. The audience was legit bored at Zelda Skyward Sword HD. I bought the whole game. I played it for like 12 hours, and I quit it because people told me to stop playing it. And it sucks because I really enjoyed it. I was having a great time with it. And, you know, I quit it because people said they didn't like it, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I really was enjoying it. I probably would have loved playing the entire game from start to finish, you know? Anyway, all right, so let's do our final rankings then, shall we? Let's go through them. All these ones at the bottom that I didn't play, I'm sure a lot of these are marvelous games. Sorry that I didn't play them and I couldn't rank them. In the D tier, we've got the Legend of Zelda Game Watch and Link's Crossbow Training. Wow, what masterpieces in the D tier. C tier, A Link Between Worlds. Again, maybe I would like it better if I played further in, but I didn't. Skyward Sword, the original Wii. If this were the HD version, I would rank it higher. The Adventure of Link, the gamble that they took trying to change Zelda into something different, that it wasn't a 2D platformer. It did not work very well, in my opinion. And Hyrule Warriors, the game that in its own right was great, but because of the issues with frame rate and performance, ends up being a very frustrating experience. In the B tier, Twilight Princess HD, Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch, and the original Ocarina of Time. I've already given my stories as to why I feel that those are ranked that way. All right, so I hope that makes sense. And, you know, if you disagree, again, leave comments on the video. Let me know what you think if you're disagreeing with some of these rankings or my rationale for them, okay? Then we've got, in the B tier, Breath of the Wild. Great game. Or excuse me, in the A, I said B tier. The A tier, Breath of the Wild, outstanding game, very, very good, and definitely enjoyed the open world aspect and the modernization of the franchise. Although not perfect, there's definitely shortcomings. At the same time, really good game. Looking forward to the new one on Friday. Wind Waker HD still stands out in my mind. The exploration aspect, the great music, the cell shadedness, some of the unique dungeons and gameplay elements of it. Really great game. And the flooded world, very unique, right? The original Legend of Zelda, the classic, the one that started it all, the one that you know, inspired so many different things in the RPG landscape and the Nintendo landscape in general, right? Superb game, although definitely to this day, kind of outdated. I do feel like more games are better than that original, but still a great game. And then Majora's Mask, which, again, great game, you know, great gameplay elements, a little weird with the time aspect, that's very frustrating, and the weird overtones of the plot, but at the same time, pretty darn good game. And then I feel the cream of the crop, the two that are the best Zelda games of all time. For 2D, it is Link to the Past on the SNES or Super Famicom. And then for the 3D, the original Ocarina of Time is still the best one that stood the test of time, and it inspired all the future games. So that is my tier maker for the Legend of Zelda franchise. Now, here's the question, right? What is going to happen with Tears of the Kingdom? Before we adjourn, I would like to ask everyone here in the chat, what do you think Tears of the Kingdom will be ranked as? Do you think it'll be an S, A, B, C, or D? Let's see. Right now, post up in the chat what you think Tears of the Kingdom will be. Departure says A+. Busword, A. Ghost of J, A. Liceversal, probably B or A. Quantavius, D. Adult Bubble Connoisseur, D. Cheetah Man thinks an S. Haseo says maybe a B. Hybrid says an A. Hamlover and Rebecca say C. Tub Tub says S. Makeo, A. Sam, B++. Old Rocks, B. Ricky, B for Baxter. You're stupid. Hamlover, C because it's not Sonic. That's also stupid. Mamoru with an A. Brian with an S. Seems like most people in general think it's going to be pretty good. I'm going to have a hard time with an S. Like, unless they really, really improve upon the original. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless they go, like, Link to the Past being kind of a direct sequel to the original Legend of Zelda and improving literally every aspect of it. That's why I feel like it's better and it's S tier. But already, from what we've seen for Tears of the Kingdom, which is coming out this Friday, when it's not out yet when I'm making this video, to me, here's my issue with the game. All right? It's like they took Breath of the Wild and they said, okay, so it's Breath of the Wild, but now we're going to add in crafting. And it would be one thing if crafting was something original or not commonly done. There's been a ridiculous amount of games in the last 10 to 15 years with the crafting aspect. The fad started with Minecraft, although admittedly there were many, many other games that utilize crafting, survival games, and even Fortnite, right? I mean, so many games have this. And the fact that it seems like all they did is they took the ideas they had with the Breath of the Wild game and just said, okay, add crafting, slap it together. I don't know if that's going to be something innovative enough that, I don't even know if it's innovative at all, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if this is going to feel like a Zelda game if half the game is, look at your environment, break something down, recombine it to make another item or vehicle or something to solve a puzzle. Like, that doesn't feel like Zelda to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's what I want to do for like a 40-hour Zelda experience. I think it might take away from the core Zelda gameplay aspects that we all know and love if half the game is just crafting. So I'm very curious about how the new Zelda will do when everyone starts playing it, if it really is a game that's so hyper-focused on crafting. And again, there's nothing wrong with crafting, but if you wanted to have that as part of the game, maybe have a spin-off game or something. Don't make it that this is the mainstream game we've all been waiting for now for 6 years. It's coming out, and by the way, the game's a lot of crafting, so deal with it, bro. Like, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see. Tubs, don't worry. He said, I hope you go into it with an open mind. I am going to. I'm going to approach it with an open mind, and I'm going to try to, just like I do with all games, have a fair and balanced perspective. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going into it with these bad notions that the crafting's going to be bad. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be as overbearing as it appeared in the gameplay segments that we've seen so far. You know, I guess we'll see. But, I mean, I maintain a positive notion. Every Nintendo AAA game that I play, I always head into it with a positive attitude. Because Nintendo AAAs are the games that have so much polish and so much attention to detail, and they put so much into them, that typically, even if they make a misstep in one direction, they still end up being really great gameplay experiences. So I'm going to hope for the best with Tears of the Kingdom. And for those who like my gameplay or are interested in seeing me play the game, that will be over on my DSP gaming channel, which is my channel that I've had since 2010. Yes, it's a 13-year-old channel. And I'll be doing a full playthrough starting on release day, which will be Friday the 12th, May 12th, 2023. I'm going to be playing it all day long there over there on live stream. So I hope that you will join me over there if you can. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, thank you for watching my Tiermaker rankings of the Legend of Zelda franchise. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you like the stories that I had attached to each game? Did you think that maybe my reasoning is not sound? please leave comments on this video and let me know. Here's what I'd love to hear. What do you think about my rankings, and what are yours? What are your top 3 favorite Zelda games, and what is your most hated Zelda game of all time, and what's the reason? I would love to see some comments about that for engagement. I read all the comments, so thank you for sharing. And again, if you're watching this on demand, if you enjoyed it, if you could, first of all, like the video, leave comments, and maybe consider a super thanks on the video, or maybe a tip. Look at the description of the video. We'll have a link to that. I'd really appreciate that. I really like these Tiermaker events, and I hope that you enjoyed it. All right, everyone? So thank you very, very much. This is Phil signing off for the Legend of Zelda Tiermaker rankings, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you for another one soon. Thanks very much, and be safe. Peace out. If I can get out of here. Bye-bye.